Right, I'm called over to the village board meeting at the Lisbon Village Hall on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 at 6:32 PM. Roll call, please.
President Osterman,
Here.
trustee Plotecker,
Here.
trustee Moonen,
Here.
trustee Quinn,
Here.
trustee Beal is absent and excused, administrator Nicholas,
Here.
and clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, item 3 is comments from citizens present. If you would step up to the microphone, state your name and address, please. I'm assuming some people would like to speak.
Hi, Lori Gitto, Westview 70, North 7548, Oakwood Court. Good evening. I'd like to address the future vision of our parks. Pertaining to the new baseball field and community park, Community Park was intended to be a nature park. It was intentionally developed that way over the past 30 years. Every part of it was not only developed with that purpose, but creatively financed with grants and public participation, which included the people of this community. My family has participated and saw this growth over the past 30 years we've lived in Lisbon. Has that vision changed, or why? Community Park is a unique asset, a gathering place for parties, sledding, skating, sunsets, sports teams, photography, and more. The serene and peaceful acreage is a refuge for those who want birdsong, pollinator plants, a variety of nature, and even darkness. It's a place in a noisy and chaotic world that many visit to get away from all that. Again, this was very intentionally developed by our own professional park director with input from the park committee, not hodgepodge together. Once you change it, there's no going back. I've watched many sports teams practice there, and I'm glad for it. Multi-use is great. Many things coexist in that space. The baseball field is one thing, but I'm concerned for the future. Will there be lights, weekend tournaments, announcing, big parking lots replacing nature? I speak as a person who cares about all our parks, as well as a direct neighbor of that park. By adding recreational activities that are louder, and potentially creating parking lots, stealing the natural habitat, how will that affect the people who visit it now for peace and beauty? Where do we go for that? The money available could have been spent on year-round bathrooms that would have benefited every single person, and that will have to be done. New bathrooms. That was on our priority list for years. Because there was disagreement, it couldn't get done. That's a big miss. We have a plan for the parks that lists our needs and priorities. Why couldn't those be addressed? That plan was made by people who live in this community and had a pulse on all the park's needs. Do you know the state of the playground equipment? Many are old and can be a safety risk. Isn't this why we have employees in a park committee, of whom some have served long tenures and know what has been and what needs to be done more than anyone? They need to be listened to and included in the process. Before we spend any money on hiring someone to give us professional advice in our parks, let's listen to those who are closest to them and care deeply about those parks. Let's put our money toward our real current needs, playground equipment for one, before we go spending money outside on outside opinions. Thank you.
So normally we don't respond back,
Yes,
but I'm going to just state some factual things that are being discussed in the budget meeting this year.
okay.
We are talking about a baseball diamond, bathrooms, possibly replacing all of the playground equipment. That has been talked about at multiple meetings this year, just so everybody's aware. Nothing's been finalized yet, but all of those things have been discussed this year.
Good. I just thought since we had that money that was available, that's one,
So,
those things could have been addressed, but thank you.
thanks. Who else would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Kurt Lesser. I live at W260 North 6157 Brackton Drive, lot number 8 of Celtic Ridge Estates. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you tonight. Some of you have heard this before, and some of you, it may be the first time, so I ask for your patience. I have spoken at several public hearings in front of the Plan Commission, most recently at the Plan Commission meeting on September 25th. All the previous times, including speaking to you tonight, were regards to communication with cell towers. I would like to start by giving you some background why I'm here tonight. On October 22nd, 1986, there was a 150-foot communication tower constructed on the Condon Farm southwest of the intersection of Mary Hill Road and Catesbridge Drive. My research at the time came up empty when I tried to find a building permit or a conditional use permit that was issued for the construction and use of that communications tower. On November 24th, 1997, the town of Lisbon granted a conditional use permit to Waukesha Tower Company and the Condons to construct a new 190-foot communications tower and to continue to use the existing 150-foot tower on their 55-acre farm. The 190-foot communication tower has never been built. On June 14th, 2005, the Condons wanted to develop their 55-acre farm into what is known today as Celtic Ridge Estates. So the town of Lisbon granted an amendment to the original conditional use permit that limited the conditional use permit to the lots in Celtic Ridge Estates that were impacted by the existing communications tower instead of the whole 55-acre farm. The conditional use permit now was limited to lots 26, 30, 31, and 32. Stating that these specific lots could not be developed or sold until the existing 150-foot communications tower was torn down and removed. On September 2nd, 2021, there was a public hearing to remove the restrictions of the amended conditional use permit to allow the Condons the ability to sell and develop lots 26, 30, 31, and 32 of Celtic Ridge Estates, with the 150-foot communications tower still in place. On November 4th, 2021, the Plan Commission recommended to the board to reject the request to amend the current conditional use permit. On June 2nd, 2022, there was a public hearing to terminate the existing conditional use permit to operate the existing 150-foot communications tower because it had not been used since at least 2018. And to this day, it still not have been used. The Condons on several attempts tried to terminate their land lease with American Tower Company, the current owner of the tower. First in 2005, when they wanted to develop their farmland into Celtic Ridge Estates. And again in 2021, when they wanted to develop and sell the 4 restricted properties. Both times the request was denied by the tower company because the lease agreement does not allow the landowner to terminate the lease agreement without consent of the tower company. But the tower company can extend the lease agreement for 4 additional terms of 5 years each for a total of 30 years without the consent of the landowner. The current lease agreement will expire on December 31st, 2027, and hopefully that tower will come down. Now, you may be wondering why I'm here and why this information is important today. On September 25th, the Plan Commission was reviewing changes to the Village of Lisbon ordinances that govern conditional use permits. Specifically, ordinance that govern the granting of conditional use permits for wireless communications mobile service facilities, including towers. It is very important that you carefully consider the changes that the Plan Commission is making. The wording you use in these ordinances and the understanding of those ordinances will give you the opportunity and flexibility in the future to decide if and where you want cell towers to be constructed in the Village of Lisbon. Take the time to learn and draft the best ordinances that you can, because you can see the decisions you make today can have a long-lasting impact on the health and safety of the community. One example is a 30-year lease agreement that cannot be terminated by the landowner. Also look at how technology has changed in 40 years. There were pagers and communications towers in 1986 when the original tower was built. Instead of cell phones and cell towers we have today. A decision today can allow a cell company and telecommunication carrier to put anything they want on a tower for many years to come without the villages or the landowner's ability to control it. Another example, the safety regulations. Obsolete wireless health guidelines from the FCC as stated in the Telecommunications Act of 1996 are 30 years old. The FCC, as a result of losing a court case in the DC Court of Appeals in August of 2021, was ordered by the court to review the 11,000 pages of evidence of harm from 5G and wireless technology. Today, the FCC has dragged their feet and they have not done what the court ordered them to do. So the plaintiffs in the case have filed a new petition to the court to force the FCC to comply with the court's order. This litigation will most likely go on for many more years. Because of the FCC's obsolete wireless health guidelines not being updated, it is even more important that the language in your ordinance is updated with what you as a village board and plan commission can control to give you as much flexibility as the laws allow. The plan commission, along with the village staff, are doing the best they can to update these ordinances. But you do not have to do this on your own. There are experts in this field that can help. I have contacted one of these experts. His expertise is well known and he has helped municipalities like ours all across the country to draft ordinances that allow municipalities the best opportunity to make the right decisions based on the health and safety of the residents of the village and not on the threat of a lawsuit. The most important part of this help is to educate the village board and the plan commission on the state and federal laws and how the language in your ordinances give you the power to make the right decisions. I have given this contact information to the village president. He is willing to give a free consultation to the village board and anyone else that's interested so that you can get an opportunity to meet him, ask him questions about how he has helped other municipalities and how he can help you. Thank you for your time and understanding.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Jim Giddo, West 270, North 7548, Oakwood Court. Just like to make known some concerns about the gravel path going from the park up the hill on Lake 5 Road, up to the subdivisions south on Lake 5. It's been gravel since the beginning. And as you know, down the hill, Lake 5, to the park, it gets washed out in a heavy rain. And it creates a hazard for those biking down the hill. And recently, it appeared to be, there was an attempt to grade that path. I'm not sure, no offense to anyone who did that, but I'm not sure what type of equipment was used. But he created a mogul-like surface on the path that had previously, at least in the flat areas, had been packed down. And it skimmed off the high areas, which are hard, and put the loose gravel down into the lower areas. So navigating with a bike and a skinny tire does cause a little bit of a problem. And also, if you're pushing any type of stroller down to the park or up the hill, the wheels dig in and creates a little bit of a hard time getting up the hill. So I don't know if there's any plans to address that permanently. I think it's the only path in the town or in the surrounding towns that is not paved, and just like to voice a concern about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
My name is Chris Prescott, and I live at West 266 North 6534 Topo Hill Drive in the village. I'm here today to petition the board this evening to consider adopting a lighting ordinance for the village of Lisbon. Currently, the village doesn't have any type of ordinance regarding residential use of lighting, etc. Furthermore, surrounding communities adjacent to Lisbon that include such lighting ordinances are, for instance, Sussex, Delafield, Shaniqua, to name a few. Light trespass is defined as light emitting from a luminaire that shines behind the boundaries of the property in which the luminaire is located. While researching the different communities listed prior, I did see there are some instances where lighting was measured, how the lighting was to be used, exceptions, and more. I believe the citizens of the village of Lisbon could benefit with the addition of this type of ordinance and in focusing on our neighboring community of Sussex and their lighting ordinance as is follows. So for instance, since we're adjacent communities, it's similar. But Sussex has their ordinance and it states municipal code 170608. Lighting shall be installed and maintained in accordance with the standards set forth herein. No exterior lighting used for parking lots, drives, or driveways, recreational facilities, product displays, or security shall be permitted to spill over onto operators of motor vehicles, pedestrians, and uses of land in the vicinity of the light source. These requirements shall not apply to the lighting placed on public right-of-way for public safety. A, type, shielded luminaires and luminaries with cutoff optics and careful fixture placement shall be required so as to facilitate compliance in this section. B, orientation. Exterior lighting fixtures shall be orientated so that the lighting element or transparent shield does not throw rays onto neighboring properties. Key point. No lighting sources shall be visible from outside its premise. Light rays shall not be directed onto streets, right of way, or upward into the atmosphere. No horizontal throw via outward projecting lenses or optics shall be permitted, contributing as a point glare source. Minimum standard lighting standards, all areas designated on approved site plans for vehicular parking, loading, or circulation and use for any such purpose after sunset shall provide artificial illumination such areas at a minimum intensity to meet the standards set forth in the American National Standard Practice for Roadway Lighting, and those standards set forth in the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America's Lighting and Parking Facilities. D, intensity of illumination. The intensity of illumination measured at the property line shall not exceed 0.2 foot candles. E, location. Lighting fixtures shall be permitted within the required buffer yards. F, flashing, flickering, or any distracting lighting that may distract motorists is prohibited. G, nuisance. Lighting which creates or becomes a public nuisance is not permitted. And H, accent lighting and low voltage lighting, 12 volts or less, is exempt from the requirements. I believe the board should explore creating a lighting ordinance for the community at large to improve the health, safety, and general welfare of the village by restricting light trespass and unnecessary glare to the adjacent properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, I'm Selena Maris. I'm at N75W27355 Oakwood Road in the village of Lisbon. Actually, one thing I wanted to say just about the gravel path. I wasn't intending to say it, but as long as it was brought up, my daughter did fracture her wrist on that a few years ago, and another friend of mine also wiped out and had a few days off of work to recover from it. So actually, I like the gravel path in the sense that it feels charming and old fashioned, but I think practicality would speak to maybe exploring paving that path just for safety consideration. So just that side note, but I'm actually here to speak on behalf of the Prairie in the park. I just want to say when we moved out here recently, feels recent, about 7 years ago, and the park was one of our biggest draws to move out to the area and specifically the Prairie. It's an amazing resource. It's beautiful. They take such good care to go through a burn cycle and then a regrowth cycle. It's really carefully maintained. It is a huge, I don't know if you've ever been there in the summer in the evening, but it's a huge breeding ground for fireflies, which are now actually an endangered species. I don't know if you're aware. And it's also a huge migratory spot for the monarch butterflies. My family, we like to find the little eggs and grow them. And we're not the only family. I see people out with their kids all the time, and also some adults that are also trying to help. If you're not aware of that, that's also an endangered species. And it's, I think it's probably, that one's maybe a little bit more well-known. It's also a huge place for a lot of birds. It's amazing the amount of birds. If you walk through the prairie path, you can see just about any species of Wisconsin bird, bluebirds, so many things. While people are walking their dogs, there's it's a great place for a social outlet. There's a little old man who walks his little dog and just to meet people. I think he's just the sweetest guy, just like to connect with him. It's just a really great resource. And I just, I've just heard rumors that maybe there was going to be a repurposing of it or a change of use for it. And I don't know, I just want to speak to the value of it. Also, not only that but the native plants, also the way they capture the water is also really important. It was explained to me once by one of the park caretakers who's no longer with us. So at any rate, I just want to make you aware of what a great resource and how beautiful it actually is as just an area for people to enjoy and to have recreation. So just to consider carefully your plans for the park. Thank you.
Thanks. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, my name is Louis Franklin. I live on N75 West 27033 Oakwood Road, across the street from the park. We've lived there since 1984. At the time, the park was originally a farm field. It was a farm. The farmer passed away and his wife decided she was going to move. She offered the property to the town of Lisbon as a park. We had 2 meetings. First one, I think, was just to discuss the use of the property. Second one was a vote on the property. At the time we voted, it was going to be a natural park. No baseball fields, no soccer fields. It was turned into a prairie. And as the past speaker said, it's taken 40 years for that prairie to develop. And it would be a shame to destroy it for a baseball field. When we think there could be other fields or parks that could be expanded into a baseball field, like down the road on Plainview. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Anyone on Zoom? Is there anyone on Zoom? No. This will be your last chance if anyone else wishes to speak tonight. No? Okay. Item 4 is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a village board member requests that an item be removed for separate consideration. We have approval of the September 11th, 2024 village board minutes. Item B, awarding the 2025 through 2024 up the drive trash / recycling contract to GFL. Approving the Dorner quote for lift station inspections for $1,750. And approving the Lisbon Sussex 2025-2027 police citation administration and support contract. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull 4B.
Or B?
Yep.
4B. B's and boy.
Right. Is there a motion on A, C, and D?
I'll make a motion that we approve part A, C, and D
Okay,
of the consent agenda.
is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Second by Paula, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, item B, awarding the 2025 through 2034 up the drive trash recycling contract to GFL.
I asked for this to be pulled just for additional discussion and information sharing. We talked about it at the Public Works and Utility Committee. Had a presentation from both Waste Management and GFL. Essentially, there will be an increase, but we found it was necessary to preserve the up to drive service due to the diversity of property types in our community. And there's a lot of value placed upon up the drive service from residents that I've heard from. With every luxury comes a cost, and there will be a fee increase, but that was discussed at the committee meeting, and just to let everybody know that there will be a fee increase, but we found it to be in the best interest of everyone to keep that up the drive.
Okay.
Kathy, I don't know if you have any additional on how the bidding went.
I just wanted to also let you know that the up the drive, GFL's up the drive contract also includes 4 tires to be picked up at the residence. It allows antifreeze and oil to be picked up at the residence. One TV a year and also one Freon type appliance a year. So these are things that we didn't have in our last contract that is an additional to this contract.
All right, any questions?
There was also a question that was posed to me is, would we have to go to the, standard company type carts for garbage? And the answer to that is no. You can still use your own trash receptacles that you choose.
They will issue a green 32-gallon recycle bin. You'll still be able to use your blue bin as well, recycle bin. So there is only a limit of contract gives you a limit of up to 5 garbage cans, 32-gallon. Those are purchased by the resident. And the recycle, same thing. You can go up to 5 of the 32-gallon recycle bins. You only have 2, but you have the ability to purchase additional recycle bins or regular garbage cans and just note them that they're recycling. And you don't have to have a specific bin of a green or a blue bin, just as long as it's noted that it's a recycle. They will also put on, if you're not recycling properly and they didn't pick up your garbage, they're going to put a tag on the garbage can that says why it wasn't picked up.
All right. Any questions from the board? Anything for you, Paula?
Just what we had, Margaret already answered. I think I'm good. Thank you.
Becky, anything for you?
No questions from me.
I don't either. Mark, anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the Public Works and Utility Committee recommendation to award the 2025 through 2034 up the drive solid waste and recycling collection and disposal contract to GFL as presented.
I'll second.
Paula, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Thank you. Item 5, accounts payable. A, authorizing the payment of the Falls Auto Parts bill dated 9/26 for $602.22. Questions, or is there a motion on this item?
I'll make the motion to authorize the payment of the Falls Auto Parts bill dated 9/26 for $602.22.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item B, authorizing the payment of the remaining bills dated 9/26 for $452,606.58 and for 10/4 for $55,132.41.
Right, so we have $27,154.93 to Brewmere Building Inspections, $7,301.40 to municipal law and litigation, $5,000 to more construction services, $4,659.64 to the Village of Sussex, $4,158.91 to Hamilton School District, $147,255.87 to Truck Country, $94,255.17 to US Bank Corp, $71,147.29 to Waukesha County Treasurer, $24,719.49 to Reliant Fire Apparatus, and $24,102.50 to Kunkel Engineering. I ask for your approval.
Are there any questions or comments, or is there a motion on the check registers?
I'll make a motion that we accept the check registers as presented.
Is there a second?
A second, both.
Mark? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item C, authorizing the payment of the September Utility District bills in the amount of $17,239.28.
We have Kunkel Engineering for $1,760. Tax management of $206.14. Village of Sussex for $15,020.18. And then We Energies for $252. I ask for your approval.
Any questions or comments, or is there a motion on this check register?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
I'll second.
I'll
Second by
second.
Paula. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item 6, announcements and correspondence. In the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 16th at 5 p.m. at the Village Hall. Plan Commission meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd at 6:30 p.m. at the Richard Young Fire Station. We have the fall general election on November 5th statewide. Polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have the Parks Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 13th at 5 p.m. at the Village Hall of November. And the next Village Board meeting is also on the 13th at 6:30 p.m. here at the Village Hall. Does anyone else have any other announcements or correspondence?
Special village board meeting on October 17th at 6:30 here at the Village Hall.
Do we have another one then too, or is that gonna be?
That's the only one at
Otherwise,
this
we'll
point.
figure that out tonight. All right. Item 7, administrator report.
Right, so mainly I've been working on budget and code work and the contracts for the assessor and the garbage. The clerk has been working on elections. A couple of incidents, just wanted to make note of. An incident with our DPW cutting somebody's bushes just recently. Not understanding the where the right of way is, and that has I met with Nick, I reminded him that they need to review that GIS. We talked about maybe noticing the residents where the trimming needs to be done. Where the road where we have no road right away, so it doesn't happen again. We also had an issue with Scott Construction. They started their work around the golf course here. And they gave notice yesterday and they started doing the work today. In our contract, it says that they're supposed to be giving a week's notice, but by the time we figured that they gave a day notice, they already gave most of the notices out to the residents. So they needed to know that their road was closed and where to park for the day. The golf course was very good about allowing them to park in their parking lot. Use their golf carts to go on the paths to get to their houses if necessary. But I suggested to Nick when we spoke this morning that maybe in the contract, the big docs, we might want to state that if they don't put notice a week before work being done, that they lose a portion of their contract. And I bet you we'll get that to happen. Other vendors do put out multiple notices before they're gonna do something like this. And then we sold 2 of our fire pickup trucks in the last month. We had 2 people receive, or we had noticed that 2 people received fake invoices from Lisbon worth $10,500 each. You could expect how angry they were that they thought they were going to have to pay $10,000 for us. We suspect that the perpetrators grabbed that from our packets for the Plan Commission, because these were Plan Commission people that came in front of the Plan Commission. And so we changed our process, putting out packets. We don't allow we redact the emails on them, and we are, when time allows, we're redacting past packets as well. So that's my report.
Any questions for Kathy?
That road work is why there's so many cars up on the road here. Yeah. So that should all be done tomorrow.
Thank you, Kathy. Item 8, unfinished business. A, discussion and necessary action on resolution 2024-07 regarding the fee schedule.
And we looked at this last time around, and you wanted to get an idea of what our fire department, the difference between the 2 fire fees were. And was real difficult to put down the exact, their wording. The new fire fees charges, the wording is different from our former fire fees charges. So in the back of the last page is actually our town fire fees. So then to try to get you an understanding if that's helpful at all, if you had the time to review that difference. We're asking for approval on the fee schedule.
This is for the EMS.
Yeah, fire EMS. I mean, it does, it also.
We just want people, it's not, we're not implementing a fire fee.
Oh, no, no,
It
it's
is
for
just, this is stuff that.
the
has been-
services when they call an ambulance. Thank
This
you.
is all the existing things we've had forever. It's
Right.
updated.
It's just a little different layout. Yeah, it's if you call an ambulance, what the cost of the ambulance and if that is a paramedic or you needed advanced life support systems, those are all different prices.
Questions or comments from the board? Becky, anything?
No, nothing from me.
Mark?
I noticed there was some that didn't move from the current fire fees to the new one. Were those discussed with our contract? Is that why they didn't come forward?
But they were not part of what our contractor does.
Okay.
The ones we have in the feed, the changes for the ALS and basic life saving, that's all came from our vendor.
I don't have any other questions.
Paula?
Everything is still covered in here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm good then, thank you.
Okay, is there a motion on this? Resolution 2024-07?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2024-07 fee schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Becky. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item 9, Parks Committee recommendation. We have A, discussion necessary action regarding possible RFP to hire a design firm to develop a master park plan.
So I wasn't at the park meeting, but the park committee did pass this last month to hire a design firm to develop a master park plan of all of our parks. It was their recommendation to do an RFP. My recommendation is that we table this item until 2025, where we know where our budget is and where we have a new administrator to write it.
Discussion on the board.
I think tabling until 2025 is a good idea. I do.
Becky?
Yeah, I guess I don't have a problem with that.
Mark?
I guess I would like to make a decision on it tonight. I think we have to know where we're going as far as if we're willing to hire for RFP, because obviously we have some things we want to talk about in our budget preparation that would impact this. So I'd be in favor of discussing it and moving forward tonight if anyone else has.
My question, I guess, would be, what is the scope? What is the envisioned scope of this? Because it's kind of, it started off as looking at community park to see, make sure we're putting bathrooms and a potential ball field in the right place.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden it's all, like, if this is, we're talking about potentially replacing all of the playground equipment. I mean, that's up for discussion, so it's a matter, is that envisioned as far as like, are we putting the right playground equipment in the right place? Because I mean, this is gonna be a lot of money. I mean, it's probably close to $2 million.
Yeah, I think part of the discussion with the park committee was certainly we have some ideas for LCP. They've taken a long time to work on the 5-year plan as well. That we're hoping to finalize that soon. But the park, LCP is not the only park in our system. So what is the growth of Lisbon? What should everything look like? Should, you know, I don't know, pickleball, tennis, I mean, there's a lot of other things to consider. So where would those things fit then? So instead of just concentrating on LCP, we thought, let's look at the whole plan. So if we're gonna get something put together, we do have a master plan moving forward. That was a thought process.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, I hear that we want community input. We've always wanted community input. I think the people that came forward and spoke tonight. One thing I see is having a firm do this and making it inside the scope to have citizen input is a huge thing. And I think we should look at them all separately, but also on the, all together and, you know, do we need equipment in all the parks? Do we not, you know?
I think most-
I think we all have the same opinion that we need to take care of our equipment, maybe put new stuff in places, but to have somebody tell us what that vision looks like, I think will greatly help us make decisions, but
I mean, I would be willing to, you know, think about doing it. It's just, you know, what is the actual cost gonna be? I think that was a big consideration.
Until you get the RFP out. Once you get the RFP out, then you know what the.
Yeah.
What.
Cause I know the number we've been kind of throwing around. I mean, it's a big number for.
It's just,
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, what do you think, Joe?
I think I'm not throwing this on Kathy before the end of the year, though. We got a budget to finish up and there's this, the tax, well, I mean, for you, it's code. I mean, that's a priority. And come December, it's a new administrator training
and we're bringing in utilities.
and utility. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen before the end of the year, though.
I'm not saying make it done by the end of the year, so it's
You
on
just wanna have a
hopefully.
direction.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think a lot of people are in here maybe a little bit passionate about things that we don't have a vision for, or we don't have any answers to give people, and I think we owe it to the people to tell them where we want to go. Like,
Yeah.
what are we looking to do? Because, I mean, to me, this is broad. This doesn't help anybody by putting it on there. It just makes people who are passionate about keeping it a nature park, people who want to see a baseball field, you know, they want a baseball field.
Yeah, and it's,
It doesn't give anybody any direction. I
is-
think we need to at least give people an idea of where we're going.
Would a survey be part of this whole thing?
Yes.
So
Yes.
a community survey would be part of the whole
Right.
thing.
Right, to all the residents of the, to all the households of the, of Lisbon.
and I'm not against the survey. What I don't want is to just, I've said this before to numerous people. You go to a nature park, you do a survey, they're gonna tell you they want a nature park. You go to a football game and do a survey, they're gonna tell you they want football fields. Go to baseball, it's baseball, golf, it's golf.
It's just gonna be
So
like the tax.
It's gotta go out and be a broad survey to get input on things.
Agreed.
I mean, this is taken off. I mean, I don't know where this coming, prairie's disappearing. There's been never one discussion about removing prairie, just so everybody knows. Doesn't mean there won't be a discussion about it in the future, but I can tell you. Nobody has made a vote. There's been nothing put on paper anywhere about a prairie. We've been talking about a baseball diamond going at LCP, which in my opinion, it's needed for 20 years.
And it's not,
But
and it's not in
And
the
that,
prairie. at all.
and that's what I mean, like.
it's not in the prairie either.
It's to the west of the prairie.
Right.
It's gonna impact turf and a volleyball court
Yeah,
and potentially equipment that needs to be replaced anyways.
right. And we're, bathrooms has been on, that's on the docket right now. So.
Well,
But
I-
that's where this all started, but
I know the Parks Committee will eventually come to you with a list of priorities that. You know, we're thinking that we would like to work on first, and it's very close to what you've got, that we're working on, it's just not on the agenda tonight, so. Can't really talk much about it.
so.
Do we know how long this these design firm takes to look at it? I mean, we don't want to drag this out forever. I mean, we're already dragging it out forever.
Well, in reality, this is how things die.
Yeah,
And this is how you don't get park equipment.
I just know that
That's-
we're,
I get it though. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying, I've been here 18 years. This is how stuff dies. This is
Right.
literally how it dies.
we're looking to talk about setting aside money for parks, but we don't even know what parks need the equipment.
Well, we do, actually. We do. We know what is it, its life span and what needs to be replaced.
So,
It's just a matter of, do we want to replace what's there in the parks, or like, some of the discussion has been, so, okay, so down by my house, the park down there used to have a tremendous amount of kids' play equipment. Now there's nothing. There's a swing set, I think, and there's a ball diamond and a few very small things, but a lot of the stuff that was there would be considered child abuse these days was removed. And, I mean, we all survived, but it's,
so the agenda item is an RFP to hire a design firm.
right.
So.
Well, yeah,
you-
this is
I mean-
having somebody write the RFP. This is the motion to have somebody write the RFP to
Right.
do this.
So they'd bring back, bring something back to the board for the review of the scope of the RFP and move it forward from there. So it's just a matter of getting, taking, the action would be to hire someone to do that, or is to write an RFP to get to a point where you can hire somebody. And I don't have a problem with that happening. It's hard for people to look at the parks if they're under snow, so. Sooner than later, I guess.
Right.
I mean, yeah, what,
This will be this will be a mantle taken on by others, though, just so you know, I mean, it's. These two aren't gonna be here next year. Becky and I, so this is gonna be more of a.
Mhm.
You. I mean,
Well, I mean-
you, Linda. You three are gonna be here. You gotta decide if that's what you're gonna wanna. Take the mantle on and move forward with.
I mean, we could start the process, look at it, and we could always stop it if we wanted to, right? I mean, we don't have to, we don't
Yeah,
have to.
you don't have
accept
to
it.
hire anybody. Have the,
So then-
you know, RFP goes out and you get bids on it and there's, and the bids come out to be $100,000. You, in the RFP, it'll say that you have the ability to refuse all bids.
did the park committee bring forth a scope for this discussion? As far as cost,
No,
Well, no, because. I mean, there's just that number, the 25,000 number that's been floating around, so that's kind of what's in everybody's mind right now, and they're kind of thinking that's an awful lot of money. So we'll have to see what it looks like.
I think it's gonna be more than that.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, I'll have to look.
that was perhaps.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and that'd be my question. I know 25,000 sounds like a lot, but to a
$2 million project.
$2 million project, that's. Part of the business.
Linda. Did call and say she's against doing this, just so you're aware.
Mhm.
She asked if I'd relay that. She does not want to do this. But she's not here for the discussion, but I told her I'd relay that.
Okay, fair enough.
Didn't mean to cut you off there, Mark.
No, that's,
Well, I mean, if we think that doing this too would. Help the new board, I mean, if that's gonna be something that would be helpful for the new board, I mean, that might be a consideration as well.
I can just, I'm just warning you. I think Becky will back me up on this. This is literally how everything has died in the past. This is like a template for how things just stall out.
Well, I mean, we could still move ahead and do what we wanna do, I mean.
I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying it always has.
Well-
Right, Becky? I mean,
Yes.
it's. A little deja vu.
Well, you have a lot more experience with this than.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, it's gonna be your fight, that's gonna. I think we need playground equipment replaced, I think everybody agrees on that, I understand 100% where Mark's saying, is it in the right place, is the right equipment in the right place, essentially, right, Mark? I get that, and it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
Cause you don't wanna put playground equipment in the middle of an industrial park where it's never gonna get used, but
Right. Well, and we're also talking about other expansion to the park too, so where do those things best fit?
So the bathrooms, You're talking about the bathrooms.
Bathrooms and, you know, pickleball has been mentioned, a lot of other things have been mentioned as well, that, you know,
Yeah.
would be in a longer range plan.
Yeah, and that's where the design will.
Yeah, I don't know, I could go either way on it. I really, I mean, I'm gonna look to you for your expertise on this, Joan, what you think the best.
I'm
course of
just laying
action
out
is.
what's always happened. It's just. A lot of times it goes into stuff like this and that's how it ends.
Well, I don't want it to end. I will firmly say that right
And
now.
that's where
because the
you're gonna
parks
have to-
Absolutely need attention.
I mean, that's where
100%.
you guys are gonna have to
I
carry
mean,
the mantle
I
on.
mean, we could send it back to committee for further input, further scope or direction.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the one that brought it
So-
forth to the board.
So.
That's just kicking the can down the road,
That
really.
pretty much is me anyways.
Huh?
That pretty much is me doing it anyway, so, getting you
But
a
do
scope
be-
and such.
I mean, if it
park.
goes back to committee, that'll be in
Yeah,
November. I mean, we just have to watch too, it's just as far as, because there's a transition coming.
Mhm.
Um,
So you think it would be too much for an administrator to, if we move forward with this, to work on that whole thing then?
I think we're just gonna have to be very conscious of the fact that there's gonna be a lot of changes in the next 2 months and 3 months, 4 months, really. You know, whoever the new administrator is, we don't know what their strengths and weaknesses are gonna be yet. and, Um. I. We could approve,
I
we
think-
could,
I
you could
think-
send.
I'm sorry, I think we know the basics that need to be done,
Mhm.
right? We know basically that the equipment needs to be replaced. I mean, it is at its life cycle, it's kind of getting to the point where we have to. So we do know that.
What I
You
would,
know, we want bathrooms up at LCP. I mean, that's kind of like a, you know, number one priority kind of thing.
so, I hate to do this, but I'll go ahead and get your scope by the Parks Committee in November. And then we'll put something on the agenda for November for Village Board as well. If that'll help, get something back to you.
I mean, it doesn't help in the sense of. I mean, we're developing the budget right now to spend the money for a project like this next year, so.
Right.
That's
Well,
what,
well,
It
if
wouldn't be
you're
ready by
doing
the
this,
time we're gonna vote on it
if this is
anyway.
happening, you're not doing this project next year.
no, but to put RFP together, that's, I mean, to accept an RFP is gonna cost money.
Yeah.
We need to budget for it this month to
Mhm.
have the budget next month.
I was just
Right.
saying with the borrow we're talking about for playground equipment, like. If this is the way it's gonna go, you're not gonna borrow that money till end of next year then at the
Right.
earliest. I mean, they will not be budgeted for this year, then it'll be
No,
budgeted for next
And
year.
then I say no.
I mean, you
Okay.
just can't do it this year
Okay.
because
I'm good with that.
with the budgeting, because if you're gonna do this process, I mean, this will be April, May, June, July before any chance before it's done.
So you could move on moving in, the RFP for the design work forward.
Mhm.
But, because if you put that off, it would be, you're just pushing it down the road, so you're still gonna need design work done before you do the playground. If we put everything in place and you borrow and then order the equipment, that gets put in 26. But if you don't do any of that in 25's budget, you're just pushing it down and now you have to start it all in 26.
And we have the, if we
So-
decided then at some point down the road to do this bigger thing, we could do that as well.
You have the choice to do the borrow, second quarter or third quarter next year, if you put it in there as a possibility.
Right.
But if you don't do the RFP, or you don't approve an RFP to go through, and you don't approve money for a borrow, you're just pushing it down. So nothing will get done, and we'd be talking just like this in end of 25,
Mm-mm.
talking about getting a
Well, it'll
design
be
done.
new people talking about it though.
That's
too,
true.
so
It'll be new people. So you don't know if they're going to be willing to put $2 million into a parks system. The next people coming up.
I say no then. We move forward. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, I'd like to see a decision made on it either way, but, I mean, I just don't think we can put together enough thought or scope for appropriate budgeting for next year, so. I mean, I would wait on this.
All right. So you looking to table it until discussion until next year? Or you looking to,
No, I mean,
originally we started off talking tabling it until 25.
to a date certain after April. Is that what you're asking
May.
for?
April 2nd sounds really good.
You could just take no action and say bring it back in spring.
So, well,
Sure. If it can, then we could, yeah,
I'll put it on the new administrators list.
Everybody, Becky, are you good with that?
yeah, I guess so. I just don't wanna see it pushed out and then it never happens.
I agree.
That's
I'd like
my
to,
We
concern.
still have more process to go through.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys can always, at committee. Retake up the issue and put more scope into it and bring forth. A different consideration.
We'll put it on the agenda for next time. Can you
Since-
make a note of that?
since
Yep.
2010, we focused on getting incorporated.
Yeah,
Our
well,
money and time was spent on
Time
doing
time
that,
to focus on parks,
and now we're,
parks. turn.
right, we're trying to
Let's talk after the
Re-
election and we'll figure it out. for parks.
recover some of that now.
Do it.
Okay. So the plan is still to make improvements on the park this next year. But we're gonna potentially discuss this again next year. Okay. Item 10, new business, A, discussion necessary to approve the application for reserve Class B license by agent Connie Jean Newbauer. RT Time Golf and Sports Bar, North 95, West 25901, County Road Q. For the license period from November 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
So this is the first of our reserve licenses to be applied for. That comes with the mandatory state imposed $10,000 application fee. Their prorated license fee for the remainder of the licensing year ending June 30th is $400. Plus they would reimburse for actual costs of the background checks and publication fee for the newspaper ad. Clean records on everyone associated with the business. It was published in the newspaper on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And the Planning Commission did grant the restaurant and alcohol conditional use permits that would be required for this type of business.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Becky, discussion? Any questions?
Yeah, just, the word reserve, is there a number on that? Is there a number of reserves?
There are, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. If you give me 2 minutes at the end of the meeting, I can let you know how many we've got.
Sure.
We had enough that we sold 2 of our reserves to Town of Brookfield in,
Long time.
I want to say it was 2018, because that was when we were developing corners. So we have enough to spare.
Any questions from anyone else?
Nope.
Is there, wait, I did motion, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item 11 is adjournment.
So move.
By Mark, is there a second?
Oh, second.
Second by Paula, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 at 7:31.